In the heart of a picture-perfect neighborhood, where manicured lawns meet polished smiles, lived a woman who seemed to have it all: wealth, charm, influence. But beneath the designer clothes and carefully curated Instagram posts was a storm waiting to erupt. This is the story of Camille Davenport, a woman raised on privilege, fueled by envy, and broken by obsession. When a single piece of jewelry, a priceless necklace, became the symbol of everything she felt entitled to, Camille crossed a line she could never return from. She didn't just steal, she didn't just lie, she killed. And what began as envy ended in blood. This is a true crime story that will shake your sense of right and wrong and remind you, even the most beautiful lives can hide the darkest secrets. Camille Harper was born into a world of privilege, one where glittering chandeliers hung above marble floors and birthdays came with private chefs and designer handbags. Her life was the kind others scrolled past with envy on social media. Her father, Edward Harper, was a powerful corporate attorney. Her mother, Lillian, a former pageant queen turned luxury brand ambassador. Camille was their only child, and she was spoiled not just with things, but with a dangerous idea that everything and everyone could be bent to her will. She learned it early. If she cried, someone bought her silence. If she failed, someone blamed the teacher. If she lied, someone cleaned it up. By high school, she wasn't just privileged. She was entitled. She expected admiration, applause, attention. And when she didn't get it, she made sure someone paid. Camille wasn't unintelligent. In fact, she graduated near the top of her class. But nothing she did was ever for the love of learning. It was for the look of success, for the trophies, for the headlines. And when she met Ethan Walsh, a quiet, self-made investment banker, she didn't fall in love. She saw opportunity, stability, a platform. To Ethan, Camille was radiant, polished, ambitious. To Camille, Ethan was a placeholder, a stepping stone. She envisioned the life she would build on his shoulders: high-rise apartments, charity galas, the envy of every woman she passed. But reality had other plans. By the third year of marriage, Camille was already bored. The money wasn't enough. The status wasn't growing. Her dreams of becoming the next socialite icon were fading into dull dinners and business meetings she wasn't invited to. And that's when Elena came home. Elena Walsh had always been different. Ethan's cousin on his father's side, she had moved to Europe in her 20s and built a real estate empire by 30. Elegant, self-made, and effortlessly magnetic, Elena was the kind of woman who didn't have to try to be admired. She returned to the States for a visit in the summer of 2019, and the moment she stepped into Ethan and Camille's home, something changed. It wasn't just Elena's success, it was her presence. She didn't flaunt her wealth, it followed her like perfume. And then there was the necklace, a stunning diamond heirloom passed down from their grandmother. 30 carats of history and legacy, sitting proudly on Elena's collarbone like it belonged there. Camille couldn't stop staring, each diamond a reminder of what she didn't have, what she couldn't command. From that night on, the necklace haunted her. She began Googling it obsessively, tracking the history of the piece, similar cuts, insurance estimates. She took covert pictures when Elena wasn't looking. And every time Camille looked in the mirror, something inside her twisted. Why her? Why did Elena, who never asked for attention, command so much of it? Camille didn't just want the necklace. She wanted what it symbolized: power, legacy, admiration. Things she had tried to fake and still couldn't earn. The obsession took root, and what started as envy began to grow into something darker. Within a week, Camille had made up her mind. She wouldn't ask Ethan to buy her anything. She already knew the answer. Instead, she contacted a private jeweler in the city, someone discreet, expensive, and known for flawless reproductions. She sent him photos of the necklace. She visited his shop twice under a fake name. She gave him precise instructions, down to the tiniest emerald-cut diamond on the clasp. It cost her $3,200. A small price, she thought, for what would soon be hers. Camille rehearsed the swap in her head for days. Timing, lighting, distraction. Elena had a habit of placing her bag in the guest bedroom during visits. Camille knew it well. It was the perfect opportunity. And then the chance came. A dinner party. just family, just intimate enough to keep things quiet. Camille greeted Elena with a warm embrace that night, smiled as she poured her wine, complimented the necklace again and again. Every gesture rehearsed, every second choreographed. Her fingers tingled with anticipation, because tonight, she wasn't going to dream about the necklace. She was going to own it. But what Camille didn't know, what she couldn't plan for, was that someone was about to catch her in the act. And when she was caught, Camille wouldn't just lose her fantasy. She would lose everything. The evening of the dinner party played out just as Camille had envisioned. The dining room glowed with soft candlelight. Laughter floated between glasses of wine. Elena, as always, wore the heirloom necklace, unaware of the obsession it had sparked. Camille played the gracious host flawlessly. Compliments, small talk. She even toasted to family and legacy, locking eyes with Elena as if nothing sinister stirred beneath the surface. But inside, Camille's heart was pounding. Every second dragged with tension, her fingers twitching at her side. Around 9 p.m., Elena excused herself to take a phone call and left her purse, along with the necklace case, in the guest bedroom. Camille saw her moment. She slipped away from the table, closed the bedroom door behind her, and opened the bag with hands that trembled only slightly. There it was, the velvet case. The necklace sat inside like a crown waiting to be stolen. She worked quickly, swapped the real with the replica, closed the case, took a deep breath. Then, a voice. "Camille?" She turned slowly. Elena was standing in the doorway, their eyes locked. In that moment, there was no hiding, no smooth lie, no charming deflection. Camille had been caught. Elena's face darkened with realization. "What are you doing?" Panic surged through Camille's chest. She tried to speak, to explain, but the words wouldn't come. And for the first time in her life, Camille felt powerless. Camille didn't plan to kill Elena. She only wanted the necklace. She only wanted to be seen. She only wanted more. But now, standing face to face with her husband's cousin, her secret exposed, everything she had built, her image, her marriage, her illusion, was unraveling in real time. Elena stepped forward. "You need to put it back." Her tone was calm, firm, not angry, not cruel. But for Camille, it felt like judgment, like humiliation. In a flash, Camille's gaze darted to the nearest object, a decorative marble sculpture on the dresser. Heavy, cold, sharp. She didn't think. She reacted. A scream, a swing, a sickening crack. The sound echoed through the room like something breaking beyond repair. Elena collapsed. Camille stood frozen, the sculpture still in her hands. Blood splattered across the floor, her breath short and shallow. She looked down at Elena's body, motionless, eyes open, lips parted in shock. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. It wasn't supposed to happen at all. But now, it had. And Camille, so used to getting away with everything, was staring down at the one thing she couldn't undo. A body, a life, and the end of hers. Shock gave way to instinct. Camille dropped the sculpture and stumbled back, hands shaking. She whispered Elena's name once, then again, but no response came. Blood began to pool on the carpet. The room spun. There was no time to grieve, no time to process, only time to cover up. She grabbed towels, bleach, anything she could find. She wiped the dresser, cleaned the floor, washed her hands twice, 3 times, until they were raw and red. Her mind raced through possibilities, stories, lies. She dragged Elena's body into the walk-in closet and buried her beneath spare blankets. She tossed the fake necklace into Elena's bag, kept the real one hidden, and when she looked in the mirror, she fixed her lipstick, then walked back into the party with a smile. "Sorry," she said. "I was helping Elena with something." No one questioned her. The rest of the evening blurred into shallow conversations and forced laughter. Camille played the role of doting wife and perfect hostess, all while a body lay hidden just 2 rooms away. When guests asked about Elena later, Camille said she left early to catch a flight. When Ethan noticed her car was still parked outside, Camille suggested maybe she got a ride. When hours passed and no one could reach her, Camille began to pretend to worry too. But inside, something had already shifted. Not guilt, not regret. Only one chilling thought. They'll never know. But Camille was wrong. It wasn't guilt that unraveled Camille's world. It was time. 3 days after the dinner party, Elena was still missing. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her social media, silent. Her car remained untouched in the driveway. And for a woman as punctual, organized, and connected as Elena, that silence spoke volumes. Ethan was the first to raise concern. At first, Camille played along. Maybe she left in the middle of the night. Maybe she got called back to Europe. But when Ethan contacted Elena's assistant in London and learned she hadn't boarded any flights, his worry turned to panic. He called the police. A missing person report was filed. Officers arrived at the Davenport home that same afternoon, asking questions, taking notes, examining the last place Elena had been seen. Camille kept calm, too calm. She recited her timeline with mechanical precision, claimed she hadn't seen Elena after dinner, suggested she left without saying goodbye, but nothing made sense. Her car keys were still in her purse. Her luggage sat by the door. And her phone, found inside the guest bedroom drawer, was stained with a single drop of blood on the case. That's when they opened the closet. The smell hit first. Then came the scream, from the officer who found her. Elena's body was discovered wrapped in a blanket, face pale, a thin red line crusted across her temple. The replica necklace lay abandoned in her purse. Within minutes, the home became a crime scene. And within hours, Camille's illusion came crashing down. The investigation moved quickly. Ethan was questioned first, his grief raw, his hands trembling. But his timeline held. His behavior matched his confusion. He had nothing to hide. Camille, on the other hand, began to fracture. Her statements contradicted. First, she claimed she hadn't seen Elena since dinner. Then she slipped, mentioning something Elena said before going to bed. A comment no one could verify. Detectives noticed. So did Ethan. He began replaying everything. The way Camille had insisted Elena was fine. The way she kept asking if the police found anything. The strange calmness that wrapped around her like a mask. But the most damning moment came on the morning of June 21st, when police found the real necklace, hidden beneath Camille's lingerie drawer. Still stained faintly with blood. Still glowing with its unnatural brilliance. And just like that, all her lies turned into facts. The jeweler she had hired came forward, confirming Camille had commissioned an identical piece 2 weeks before the murder. The text messages she had deleted were recovered, and a single fingerprint, pressed into the inside of Elena's necklace case, was hers. Ethan confronted her that night. Tears filled his eyes. "Did you do it, Camille?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. He walked out the door and never came back. Her mugshot, once framed by high cheekbones and designer makeup, now showed a hollowed face, eyes that once sparkled now dull with disbelief. The media went into a frenzy. Beauty and bloodshed, the necklace killer. She killed for sparkle. Camille Harper's fall from grace. When envy turns to murder. The courtroom was packed on opening day. The prosecution painted a clear, brutal picture. A woman consumed by envy. A plan executed with cold precision. A death that could have been avoided if not for greed. They presented the fake necklace, the jeweler's testimony, the fingerprint, the recovered text, "If I can't be her, at least I can wear what she wears." Camille's defense team argued mental break, emotional instability. They painted her as a woman overwhelmed by pressure, by the burden of being perfect. But the jury saw through it. They saw entitlement, calculation, murder. On October 10th, 2019, Camille Harper was found guilty on all counts. She showed no emotion as the verdict was read, but her eyes glistened, whether from rage, regret, or the simple realization that this time, no one was coming to clean it up. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Camille Harper had everything: money, status, influence. But it wasn't enough, because for people like Camille, enough never feels like enough. What began as admiration became envy. What began as longing became obsession. And in the end, it cost a woman her life. But the real tragedy? Camille didn't kill for love, or justice, or protection. She killed for a necklace. And that's what makes this story so disturbing, because it reminds us that the deadliest crimes don't always come from darkness. Sometimes they come from vanity. Let this story be a warning. The need to be admired, to be envied, to be more can become a prison far worse than steel bars, because no amount of shine can cover up what you've become on the inside.